right, so let's get started. Hello and welcome back. This is Mary Beth Olive. I am usually leading it with Julie Costa, our Leading Through Crisis. Today she will not be with us, so we will see her again on Tuesday. But I am so honored to say that we are here today with a dear friend of mine, a beautiful, a dad of 3 beautiful girls. I know that just added one to the family not too long ago, and a gorgeous, gorgeous wife. I know anybody would love to have Kristen as their wife, and supportive. She's just an amazing soul.
She is.
And mega agent, you are running a team. You run a very large business. You have you're in coaching. You're a real estate investor and coach, talent finder. I think that's one of your biggest strengths. Lead generator, and you're downright energetic, charismatic, knowledgeable, and one of the most influential guys that I know. And I'm proud to say that you have been a friend of mine, Mr. Jeff Quintin.
Thanks so much. That dude sounds like a stud.
He does. He's also handsome and fun.
Hopefully my wife thinks of me that way like you do. Yeah, man,
that's how
I am blessed though. So thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it very much.
And that is your beautiful kitchen and your beautiful home. And you've created this amazing world. So I want to dive into some questions because I know you love sharing, and we have some great questions for you. You are a highly successful real estate agent that has a highly successful team. I know you have multiple businesses, and throughout the career, you've definitely been through some disruptions on your journey. What can you share about your story? And I mean, take us back to when Jeff got his license.
Sure.
Story, because I think that's pretty inspiring.
Sure. No. Well, thanks again for having me. It's an honor to be here. So real estate's really the only thing I ever knew. I got in real estate in 1992, right out of high school. So I've been doing it going on 30 years, and I knew that when I was in high school, I wanted to be in business for myself, either go into some type of business. I had like a car detailing little business, being another partner in school. So I always had the personality. I always wanted to go out and earn a living by being in business, kind of controlling it. So ultimately in high school, I got a job though, working at a bank, and I was in the loan department upstairs above where the tellers are. So the offices were upstairs, and I would go I would leave school or come home from school, rush home, put a collared shirt on and a tie, go to the normal, real job at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Used to work from 3 to 6, and I would go to the loan department, do some filing, all that kind of stuff. Well, anyway, graduated high school, and then after high school, a position came available as a drive-through teller. So I went and took the drive-through teller position. Now I'm actually in front of the public. We're public facing. And in that process, I got to see and meet and greet other realtors and brokers in the community, and I would cash their checks. So I would look at my check for $300. I look at their check for $3,000. I look at their car. I look at my car. I'm saying to myself, well, that guy can do it. I can do it. Inspired me and said, I want to get in real estate. So then I went into real estate. So about a year later, after failing the test about 4 times, I jumped into real estate full time in 1992. Time frame at that time, the market itself was a shifted market coming off of a very high market in the late 80s. The early 90s there's foreclosures, there was short sales, a lot of expired listings. At the time, I didn't even know what the market actually was. I just went out and just worked it. So that's what I started in. And then, advance forward, got into the real estate business. Until, I ran as a solo agent. And then probably in the late 90s, 98, 99, I got my first assistant. I shared 2000, 2001 range. I went full-time assistant.
So how many years was that from being in the business to then getting your first hire?
About 8 years or so.
Okay.
About 7 or 8 years. I was just a regular solo agent doing all the things that a solo agent does, wearing all the hats. Because back then in the 90s, ultimately, if you had an assistant, first of all, there was brokerages that wouldn't allow you to have an assistant. Mm-hmm. They just said, there's no way you can have an assistant that you're not allowed to do that. They wouldn't allow it. And then if you had one, that was like a really, really big deal, having an assistant, right? Like nobody had them. Yeah. No, there was no real estate teams around back then. It really wasn't. It was just really, everyone was just solo agents. And by then, back then, when I got into the business, when I was interviewing for brokerages, the first brokerage I wanted to go to was like the number one brokerage in town, the best market share. I went there. There's two partner owners. One said, yes, I'll hire him. The other one said, no, he's too inexperienced and too young. Don't hire him. So they turned me down. I went to a different brokerage, hired me on the spot, went there, worked there for about a week. The old brokerage I wanted to be at, the first brokerage called me back and says, all right, we're going to give you a shot. I went back to that and then stayed there basically in the same office and same management. It was turned around a bunch for about until 2016 before I came over to KW. So anyway.
Was there something that you did in that week that made the first broker turn around and say, hey, we want you now?
I don't remember. No, I think they just gave me a shot,
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, because back then, I mean, it was a very, veteran business. Like somebody hiring an 18 or 19-year-old, that really didn't happen.
And Jeff, what market are you in? I don't think we actually.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So I live and work in Ocean City, New Jersey. So I'm in Southern New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where our hub business is. We have other expansion business and agents that work for us as well. The biggest one is down in the Outer Banks, North Carolina. We have about 21 agents down there.
Wow.
Team. Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah. So anyway, 2000 range, 2001, started building the team. And then, from about 2000, 2005, really ramped things way up and the market helped us with that. And then from there, just kind of, continued to grow the team. I always had a small team, I always had about 3 or 4 three agents, including myself, ran about 6 or 7 of us for a long, long while. And then around 2014, started to build it out. 2016, when I came to KW with your help and recognized, through expansion and what the world actually can look like. And then today,
that's a great lead into my next question is about the structure of your team. But you said something, and I know because when I was interviewing with Adele DeMoro and she was my broker owner, she said same challenge when she was in the 90s. There was nobody with assistants and it wasn't common, and it's almost like, who do you think you are? You're going to bring an assistant in here? We pay the assistant. So you then transition to your team being, as I just wrote down, 3 admin, 3 agent, which, naturally what I've experienced is agents go out and grab other agents before they go ahead and spend the dollars on the admin core. Who taught you that, or, what was the philosophy behind that to fill it heavy with admin, and speak a little to what the structure of your team is today?
Yeah. So I guess the very first thing, just to bring you back, I went to somewhere in the early 90s, probably mid 90s, 94, 95, probably in that range. I went to Temple University, and at that time there was a class that was there that was being ran, and Alan Dom taught it. If you know who Alan Dom is, from Philadelphia. So Alan Dom one time was a Condo King affiliate, recognized as the number 1 realtor in the country, and Alan's just an amazing guy. Anyway, long story short, Alan had taught this class, and he had said, if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. So that was the very first time I exposed to hiring an assistant, because he had actually had assistants and a team more or less in those days, very rare. He also then said, if there's anybody you need to go follow or listen to, there's a gal, her name is Monica Reynolds. Mm-hmm. And so Monica Reynolds, I was introduced to her, not physically, but introduced to her by way of cassette tapes in like the mid 90s. Right. So I still have her cassette tapes still today. In fact, I've texted her a couple of times with her every time I run across them.
Is it like Star Power time? And
it's before like
Joe Stump?
Yeah, it's for sure. It's those days, right? It's definitely those. It's even a little bit before like Star Power, Howard's days. But so Monica was like right on it back when teaching assistants and learning about assistants. So it was funny because later on in life, she ended up coaching me several different times in my career directly. So I was exposed to that. So what happened was I said, okay, I got to hire an assistant, because I was doing everything, right? I was wearing all the hats. I'm working 9 days a week if there was 9 days, working 200 hours a week if there was. And I was young. I wasn't married. I didn't have kids, so I had the time to do that. But real estate, that's what I wanted to be successful. So I did all of it, and I had no structure. I had no schedule. Somebody would call me, want to see a house? Yep, I'm out. Like, it was just all over the place. And I did okay there because I grinded it out like really, really like crazy for many years. So I got to a place where it was about 80 some transactions, solo agent. And I had
admin, right?
Well, that was just me.
Admin?
No, okay. Well, not yet. So that was me. Like, I was really doing a ton, right? Yeah. So then I realized, okay, I got an assistant. So then what happened was I hired an assistant, but I shared her with another agent. So I was very prospecting based. So from 9 to 1 in the morning, he had her. And then from 1 to 5, I would have her, right? So she would do all his work in the morning, and then she would do all my work in the afternoon. So we split her. So first I started out with a split, cost. And then after that, I decided as my business grew, I needed a full-time person, then got a new one. So then Amy, who was at the time, she went with Joe. And then I went and hired a new gal named Cindy. And then Cindy and I took the business from just she and I both. And she was a transaction coordinator, a listing coordinator. She was a full-on just assistant. And then she and I ran it to about 120 transactions. And I was still doing everything as far as the sales side, but I just delegated everything off to her on the admin side. And then from there, I hired a closing person. I separated the two roles. She went to listing side, and went to closing side. Again, I was just me. And then from there, because of the amount of leads that were coming in, I then went and hired a buyer's agent. So now it's 2 buyer's agent, listing manager, closing manager, and Cindy was kind of my overall assistant as well. And then after that, I went and hired another buyer's agent. So that was me in production, 2 buyer's agents, listing coordinator, closing coordinator. And then I hired an actual, another like assistant involved. So it was three and three. And we ran that way for a long time, for many, many years. Got it up to about.
So you were at 120 units there with that when Cindy came on board, and then what happens with those?
Yeah, then our biggest years were like 2005. We did about that year about 219 units closed. It was big years because our average sales price was 700 grand, so we did 140 million in those days. Which is just pretty incredible. Wall Street Journal ranked number 40 in the country, number 4 at Berkshire Hathaway at the time. Big deal. 3.9 million GCI, like big years.
Wow.
Yeah, and a small little team. So.
Yeah. We were just talking about how like back in that time, 3 million was a big number for GCI, and now we're seeing the bar has lifted, that ceiling has broken, and we're beyond 20 million now, right?
Oh yeah. That's incredible, isn't it? Yeah. Now, if you were doing even 1 million GCI, back then, if you're an agent doing 100 units, it was unheard of. You were really top lead. Today, it's done within 40
Today,
years.
that 100 now is 1,000. It's if you could break that 1,000 mark, you're something to talk about.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's nuts. So today the structure of it looks as we grow. I still have a smaller per se team than most when you talk about our hub business. Our hub is like our home-based business. We've got 7 agents that are full-time 7 agents themselves. We have 1 assistant, 1 closing manager, COO. So I've got 3 like basic at-home assistants or back-end administrative people, and then I have 4 virtual assistants. So if it doesn't require someone in the office, we're going virtually. So like my listing manager, he's in the Philippines, full-on total virtual assistant, and then 3 other backup admin virtual assistants as well, and projects and things like that. So however you want to call that, as far as the admins, I don't know, 6 or 7 right there. And then so that's the agents there. Then we've expanded. And we merged with an independent company in the Outer Banks last August, and we came over. And so there's 21 agents there, and then there's 2 more or less. There's a broker there and 1 admin that's there as well. And that runs more like an independent brokerage, more or less in itself inside KW.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How did you come upon that opportunity in North Carolina, and what made you be bold enough to go and expand the Quintin group there?
So it came from an opportunity through an expansion director at the time that was working with us, and he knew someone who had owned this company for about 30 plus years and still does, but they had 2 arms to it. One is the residential resort vacation rental side, and then the sales side. And they were really only focused at the time, or at least they were concentrating on the rental side. They were kind of taking the eye off the ball on the sales side. So our expansion director at the time said, "Hey, listen, this is an opportunity for you to take over the sales business of this established business in the Outer Banks. Would you be interested?" I said, "Sure," because that's a resort, second home, vacation home market that I work in Ocean City. So I know how to work inside an absentee owner second market. So we went down there, looked at it, and that's how it was introduced. And ultimately, they're a company that's Resort Realty merged with the Quintin Group, powered by the Quintin Group into KW. So now we own and operate those offices. There's 2 offices inside KW. Outside, it's called Resort Realty, within KW.
That's so awesome. That's exciting. Just because I know that it sounds like you surrounded yourself with great people, big thinkers, that expansion direct, who then, and you put it out there. I know that you're always looking for talent. You're always looking to expand it. You put it out there. So then when the right opportunity comes, I'm sure you then measure it and take action. But if you're not asking, you're not going to get. And so I think that's something you've done a great job at, and that's exciting down in North Carolina.
Yeah, it's cool. It's good. I mean, it's, there's struggles in it, just like any other business. And we're going to be restructuring it right now. So there's a lot of different things we're going to be doing for the next coming 6 months to 12 months.
Like you said, that is a market, and I too worked in the market with you and found it interesting and exciting to learn what a shore market. You got some homeowners that are there year round, but then you have your secondary market, and then you also have a rental market. And for those of you who are watching, listening, it's barrier islands, it's East Coast, New Jersey shore towns. And so you can find those also in Rhode Island and down in North Carolina and Florida. And so there's similar markets that can understand your market. What kind of impact has where we're at now with coronavirus coming in? What kind of impact has that had to your market?
Well, I guess it's impacted our market like many others. I mean, obviously the number of the transaction count is way down.
Okay.
The panic mode itself was in the beginning like most, and now it's kind of leveled itself. So, I mean, right now business is still being done. I mean, the great thing, the advantage that we have, and the fortunate thing is that we've been doing business virtually, or at least let's say to absentee owners for a long time. That's just what we do. Our people don't live here, most of them. They live in.
Can you like expand a little bit about what an absentee owner is?
Yeah, I mean, so ultimately you have their primary home where they live as their primary address or their residence, which is typically for us, that client comes from the greater Philadelphia market.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a second home here down at the shore, we call it, their beach town, which is about 60 to 70, 80 miles away from the primary home. So they live and work in the Philadelphia, let's say, area. Mm-hmm. And then their vacation home is down here in my market. So when we've always communicated to them, in most cases, it's always done over the phone, by email, by digitally, our presentations and things like that. We weren't certainly doing Zooms as much as that we have, but we've done FaceTime showings if they couldn't make it down to see the home or whatever, walking them through. We've done that before, or do a video of a house, of a new listing because they can't get here to see it, emailing it to them. So that itself, and our presentations and our marketing packets and our links and things like that, explaining who we are and why hire us videos and all the things that we can send to a client without actually physically meeting them. We've been prepared for that, or we've always been done. That's just the way we do business and have done it. So we've been fortunate enough to be able to do that. So it hasn't impacted us regarding pivoting or changing that per se. It's impacted us because of inventory is still super low. Our demand has gone away a lot. So, but we have other buyers that still will buy. It's impacted us now because, we're still uncertain, right? Just like most,
well, I would imagine that you probably would find some people looking to give up their second home right now. And then, I mean, not to work on the negative part of what this market will bring, but you'll have some distressed sellers or just sellers that say, you know what, I don't use it as much, or it's not a cash flow like I thought. And then you might have some other investor owners that you have in your database, I'm sure might want to be that recipient of that opportunity in this market, is to pick up some properties. Yep. So do you see that on the way out, or even now? Because we're only in May. I mean, I was just putting that in perspective. We're only in May. Like, this is typically when all of our inventory floods. If this lifts in a month, I mean, we're really only behind 2 months.
Yeah,
and,
that's true. Well, I think the hope that when we say if this lifts, I mean, lifting is one thing. Lifting and it's still being around is another. I don't think it's a lifting and then things flood and come back in like it's going to. Or at least we hope that it would. And all of a sudden we're back, we're off by 5 weeks or 6 weeks or 2 months, and things are going to go right back the way it was. I mean, it could. I don't know. I think this has now become the new norm. I think that what you see how things are being done is going to continue. I think that the employees that were furloughed or laid off, businesses are figuring this out, how to be more efficient. They may not be hiring everybody back. So we're going to still have some high unemployment. I think that's all going to continue. It's going to be a while before we come back to exactly where it would be. Will things get better? I think it will. But it's hard to say. I mean, we're not seeing the market react right now at the moment where, certainly there's tons of buyers that say, I want a deal. I want to go steal something. That's everywhere. That's always going to exist. And right now it's even heightened more, but I haven't seen any sellers say, give my home away, and then I'm able to sell it to a buyer at 20% off market. I haven't seen that deal happen. And most likely it's probably not going to happen. right? Like it's a fantasy if that's going to be there. Now, could it? Sure. But this isn't a housing crisis, right? Like this isn't what it was in 2007, 8, 9, 10. That was a housing crisis. Too many homeowners today have enough equity in their homes. The situation is different. They're not over leveraged. They didn't borrow against, and take equity out of their houses and go buy a boat. That market was back then. That's a different circumstance. This is a health crisis. This isn't a home crisis, right? So we got to figure that out. I think it's a little bit different. But yet, before we got into this, inventory was super low, and inventory hasn't come back on. Right. So we have super low inventory and super low demand all occurring at the same time. It's not. That's a weird thing.
And then mix in an under 4% interest rate.
Yeah, it's exactly
2.75 on a 20-year. I mean,
it's crazy. So the market's going to be impacted, but there's still buyers and sellers buying. We're still doing deals every single day. Are some offers lower than what I like? Yes. Are we also getting multiple offers, bidding properties up? Yes. So that is still occurring. Overall, it's still an okay market. I mean, you got to look at this year that, typical healthy market is if there's going to be 5 million homes that are sold in an annual U.S. homes that will sell, let's just say 5 million, 4.8 or whatever, the 5 million ultimately typically will sell. And there's two sides. That's 10 million right there, commission checks possibly earned. Question is these agents did they want part of that? Now, if the market drops because the number of transactions drop and it goes from 5 million to 4 million, right? There's still 8 million available checks, right? So we're going to survive those agents that know how and what to do and have the skills and understand and can pivot in this market and they can adjust. But there's going to be transactions that's still going to happen, which is a matter of do we want to get our piece of it.
Absolutely. So how about lead generation? I know lead generation is probably one of your core values there in your organization. And I remember that Mondays were a big day for you to, make your contacts. And when we were in Bold, your team was making 1,000 contact Mondays. I guess my question to you is, has that changed right now in this Corona atmosphere? And also, how are you holding your agents accountable? I know some of the leaders I've been coaching with and talking with, it's just understanding, meeting your people where they are. You have some certain circumstances where moms, dads are doing homeschool and whatnot, but being sensitive to it, but then also knowing that on the end of this, if they don't do the activities, you're also hurting them by not telling them to do them and hold them accountable. So accountability is big with you, lead generation. Speak to that in today's market.
Well, yeah, I mean, so this is going to be something that I'm going to say that maybe some may not like.
Sure.
And this is my personality, but ultimately, as you had just mentioned to me, the sensitivity about the homeschool thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I get that. I understand that. But the homeschool thing, you need to figure that out now, like 5 weeks ago. You need to still continue to do what you're supposed to do every single day at home. I don't give a crap. Your office needs to be designed as it was. Your environment needs to be in a place where it's structured as it was.
Yeah.
I get that you have distractions, but you can't tell me you can't take 3 hours of your day, however you can, to go lead generate. You better do it if you want to be part of my organization, because that agent that does that is going to survive. That agent's going to thrive. That agent's going to be here 60 days. The agent that, okay, well, I'm at home and I got distractions and I got homeschooling and I have this and I have that, and all of a sudden get way off of what they normally used to do. They're going to wake up 60 days, 90 days from now. They're not going to be in the business. They're not. They're done. They're already done. Just give up now.
I agree with you.
Get out.
And I think it is hard for some people to hear, and it is the truth. It is absolute truth.
It's right now, it's more than ever that here's the opportunity you have. If somebody has a sensitive schedule because they're at home, where before they would go physically to an office where they weren't distracted, the good news is that you actually have less distractions probably at home than you would have at the office, unless your environment at the office is so, bulletproof and bunkered down like ours. You're probably more distracted at the office anyway. So the good news is stay at home. Here's what I would suggest. The first hour, let's say you start your day at 9 o'clock. Take an hour and 15 minutes. And you go hour and 15 minutes, no distractions. Go hard, make your contacts, have your conversations, do everything like this. Put blinders on like a horse, hour and 15 minutes. Then you say to your family, say, look, at 10:15, I'm going to be available to kiss my wife, kiss my kids, go for a walk, do whatever I got to do, right? I don't care, whatever it is, change the diaper, be with your family. I get it. Do that for an hour. Okay, now you're back. Now it's 11:15. You go an hour and 15 minutes again. Blinders. Okay, and after that, whatever time that next time is, all right, I'm available. Let's eat lunch together, whatever. I get it. I'm home. Great. Goodbye. Leave me alone. I'm out. Hour and 15 minutes again. There's no reason why an agent today can't take 3 to 4 hours of their day, living and working at home, to lead generate and do what they need to do. Just think about this. Forget the crisis we're in. Just imagine if every agent in America actually just did 3 hours a day, no matter what. of just focused in your top 20% activity, what their business would look like. See, even in the crisis we're in, that business and that person is going to absolutely thrive if they could do that. So even if it's not just 9 to noon, 3 hours straight, because maybe they can't set their environment up that way, hour and 15, take a half hour, an hour off. Hour and 15, go hard, take an hour off. Hour and 15, go hard. Next thing you know, you've got 3 to 4 hours of solid work, productive, non-interrupted activities that will just thrive their business. 90 days from now, they'll have more business than they know what to do with. It's a matter of discipline right now. So you asked me, okay, so what is our team doing? What's our structure look like?
Yeah.
Here's what it is. 8:15, we have
and also what are those conversations? Because are they calling like they used to, calling after for sale by owners expired? Like, what are they calling for?
Sure. So getting back to the accountability and what our world looks like on a Monday, let's say, right? Or how that looks. So first thing is, whether it's a Monday or it's a Friday, it's all going to be the same right now. So everybody meets at 8:15 over the phone. We call into a conference line. It's a call in, not a Zoom. We talk about 3 things for the day. It's 15 minutes long. It's a huddle call. We talk about what is your goal for the month? Where are you so far? And then what is your daily commitment or promises for that day? Okay. So typically an agent's going to say, well, my goal this month is five homes sold or 5 transactions. Currently I'm at 2. My goal for the day is I'm going to make 30 contacts. I'm going to set 2 buyer appointments. I'm going to set 3 Zoom appointments, and I'm going to add 5 people to my database. Maybe that's their goal. They'll have that kind of, they're going to declare that to the team. Okay. And I'll say, okay, great. Perfect. Next person, we go around the thing, and then I'll give some type of comment. Scott will give a comment for the day, whatever, maybe wrap it up. 8:30 on the dot. We're off the call. They're out now, role playing, right? They should be role playing 8:30 to 9, practicing their dialogues and scripts. Okay. 9 o'clock comes. We have a Google Hangout link that agents can sign on like this, and then they can prospect and they can watch each other, they can mute each other. So they meet somewhere to make sure they're lead generating. So basically 9 to noon is what they're doing, and they're lead generating for 3 hours a day. The minimum standard is 30 contacts still. That has never gone away.
How many?
30. 30 minimum is their standard to have conversations. Now, what's happened differently though now is, we're tracking obviously a number of contacts being made, number of appointments being set. We've added to our dashboard and daily reporting of number of Zooms set and number of Zooms held, as we want to make sure Zooms are now the new presentations and that our agents are actually doing that. That's being done. Again, this is a typical morning. So that's our typical morning you're going to see 5 days a week, every day. Now, after 12 noon happens, things become a little bit more loose. We have structure in our team on Mondays and Wednesdays at 12 noon. We have a script master class. So I go on and teach about scripting. It's me personally doing that by Zoom. 3 o'clock on a Monday, I have a coaching call. Normally it's a coaching call. We've now gone to Zoom. I now do a coaching call to the company. On a Tuesday, we have a team meeting, 12 noon, Zoom for 1 hour. And that's a structured meeting. We go about gratitudes we start off with. We go jump into the numbers, where we are, state of the market, where are we at with our team, where's our goal versus that, any type of topic that's relevant. And then we have a book we're reading. Shift right now is we're reading as a team. We had just went through Fanatical Prospecting. We've done several different books. Everybody has to read a chapter and report on it. That ends at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. And then basically, that's about it for the week as far as the team structure. We have a team happy hour on Friday. Now on Zoom, we're doing that to get together. But we're meeting as a team almost a lot. Like we're hearing from them every day. Yeah. Mondays we're on 2 different Zooms. Tuesday we're on a Zoom. Wednesday we're on a Zoom with a script class. Thursday, actually, a lot of our agents take off. Friday we're on again a happy hour. So we're seeing each other almost almost every day.
So prior to the, are you having your expansion groups jump in and plug into this as well?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
prior to Corona, were you doing this as robust on Zoom and
No, not as much on
script,
Zoom.
with the
The Zoom,
script
yes.
calling?
The script calling at the hub would be everybody meeting at the hub
Yeah.
live. Then I would take a Mevo camera and then I would record it and Zoom and a Mevo camera in our Facebook group. So somebody in Outer Banks could watch it and they could
Okay.
actually participate on Zoom by talking if they needed to. So we were doing Zooms as well.
Yeah. I
And
just
also,
know how phenomenal of a leader you are. And this time is going to give leaders like you that platform to attract different talent, because
yeah,
now this is the new normal of being able to plug into their leader this way. So I'm
yeah,
going to
yeah,
check some
yeah.
stuff out for you.
And then basically the end of the day, we use Sisu as a one of our reporting systems and dashboards and leaderboards. And so every day everyone gets a link that's on their phone, or you get a link. They have to get a reminder by text, report your numbers. They report their numbers by 5 o'clock or after 5 o'clock, or at least by midnight. That's a reminder at 5, report your numbers. They report their numbers, dials, appointments, Zooms held, Zoom set, like all that. And then I get a report on that the next morning. Our VAs go in and pull those numbers in. They send to me by our huddle call. We look at it, and basically, if you didn't report your numbers, you're then cut off that day of all leads and shut out of your CRM.
That's
So
accountable.
if there's no, you get no admin support if you don't report your numbers. So I get that list every morning, and I can see before a huddle call who reported and who didn't. Everybody did, great, perfect. Doing your job. If you're not, then unfortunately you need a contract done. You're going to do it yourself.
And what was that tool you're using? Seesaw?
Sisu, SISU, yes, Sisu. Sisu.co, jeffquintin.com / no, what is it? Sisu.co / Jeff Quintin. Yeah, if you need a link, go there. Sisu.co / Jeff Quintin. They got killer dashboards and reporting, and I mean, gives you everything that you need.
All right, I will definitely make sure we post that out and put that out to people with your contact.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
so you talk about the day. To me, it sounds like you haven't really missed a beat. You're out there. You structured the week just the way the week would be in person. We're just now coming to a virtual conference room. What are those conversations like? Are you expecting them to call through database, through expireds, through sphere of influence, all of the above? What does that sound like? I mean, you're doing script practice. Script with me.
Yeah, so I mean, our team right now, I mean, first and foremost is we really want to make sure they're in their database, their past clients, their centers of influence, people that they know, people they've done business with. We know who you talk to today is going to result in a sale in 60 days, right? So this isn't like, going in hard sale. It's all right now. I wrote down a couple of things. I mean, it's educate, inform, and serve, right? That's first and foremost. Educate, inform, and serve right now. And obviously safety first, but leading with that thought, in the beginning, that they're calling their database of past clients center of influence. They're calling them, they're texting them, emailing them, messaging them on Facebook, all different sorts of communication. Some are sending notes as well, handwritten notes. Just reconnecting, like back, and getting back in a relationship with them from a place of contribution and support, and see how they are. We are calling expired listings, old and new. We are calling for sale by owners. One of the things that's cool, in fact, I just got a text literally from for sale by owner today, and here's what she said. She says, I can do a virtual tour today around 5 p.m. after my showing. So this is a for sale by owner that just came on. I texted her the other day and said, hey, it's Jeff. I said, I knew who she is. I said, my team and I may have a buyer for your home. Would you do a virtual tour for our team and walk us through? She said, sure, anytime. She just texted me back today, So, I mean, like little things like that, like a great way to get it for sale by owner is just go out to them right now and ultimately say, our team might have a buyer. If you're our team, if it's a solo agent, no problem. You might have a buyer. Would you mind meeting me on Zoom? I'm available today at 2 or tomorrow at 4, and walk me through your home. Let them go tour you through their house, right? Get a rapport with them. Hey, that's awesome. Perfect. Where are you moving to next? When would that be? If you were to hire an agent, who would it be? And what would you expect them to do? And go into the scripting while they're touring the house. That's what they would love to do that right now. Show off their home. And then guess what? There's no other agents. right? So we're doing everything right now. I mean, we are turning over every rock, every single thing, every single way. It's a lot of little, it's a lot of things that are little doing a lot of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it doubled down, right? More and more. I would like to throw up your COVID-19 things to do, if we could screen share that.
Sure.
And could you walk us through this that you created, that, and you sent it out immediately. I fell in love with it. I threw it out to my agents, and you just
That's cool.
go through it with us.
Yeah. So I mean, this is basically what should we be doing right now? And this is something that came up. I mean, I think I wrote this like March 20th or 23rd,
It was
somewhere in the
early
beginning.
on.
Yeah, very much early on. And I said, and it just coincidentally, I wrote down 19 points for COVID-19. So I'll go through these quick because there's 19 of them, but I'll share some thoughts. So number one is, studying the market. Right now, you have to become a student of the market more than ever. We've always talked about being the real estate economist and things like that. More than ever, you got to know the market, because the very first question that most sellers or buyers are going to say is, well, what's going on? How's the market? Well, before, you could take that a couple of directions. Well, how's the market? Well, are you a buyer? Are you a seller? Are you an investor? Right? You can answer it in 3 different ways. Right now, you need to just answer how's the market by becoming a student, knowing what's going on. What is selling? What's not selling? How many homes are sold? Is the days in the market gone up more? Showings less? Just become the economist so that you can speak that way. And if you know and study it, your confidence is going to rise, right? Your level of confidence is going to go up. Therefore, you're going to want to work with someone who's confident more than ever. See, everywhere we go right now, people are not confident in anything they're doing. They're uncertain. They don't know what's going on, right? So, as the human needs, one of the human needs that we all have to have is certainty. We want certainty in our life. And in an uncertain world, people are uncertain. They're striving for certainty. If you could deliver confidence and give them certainty as far as whatever it may be, I'm not so sure, it doesn't really matter how well you study it. You better be confident in what you're saying. Okay, so that's point number one, is really be a student of the market. Point two is just online previewing, right? Get to know the inventory very, very well. Because guess what? Our clients are doing this. If you're not out there looking at on the internet, Zillow, Trulia, all the new listings coming on, your clients who want to buy and sell, they're doing it. Don't let your client know the homes and know the inventory more than you. They have more time to go online right now. Make sure you're spending just as much.
Yeah.
Point three is call your database.
Now more than ever, they're willing to talk about houses. They can see them. You can spend the time. You can have interactions like this where, hey, you could just pop open your MLS and start to go through it, or your website with the client, and even get a little more intimate with their decision making in times that maybe 10 o'clock is the time where they want to jump on, and you're willing to do that with the buyer because they put their kids down. Well, when are you going to go into an office at 10 o'clock and do that? But now This is the new normal.
Yeah, and you'll see that this part of one of these points here, exactly that. I mean, what would be great is, just as a little thing here. I mean, if you had 100 buyers, right, why not send them all a text? And very much, here's the script, right? So, hey, first name, whatever it is, hi, Billy Bob. If they're a buyer and you know that they're still actively wanting to buy, hey, Billy Bob, would you join me today at 3 o'clock? I'd love to show you all the inventory that meets your criteria. Here's my Zoom link. Let me know if you can join. And you're going to find them like, yeah, sure, great. Click on the Zoom, meet them at 3, and then just show them, hey, Billy Bob, what's going on, man? Let me just share my screen. Let's walk through the MLS together, do a search. How's this home look? What do you think about this? Does this meet your criteria? What don't you like? And just start having those consultations right then. I mean,
yep.
So point number 3 is call your database. Look, don't discriminate, make up stories in your head or what they're thinking. We get too caught up on people right now that you had a bad transaction with 5 years ago. Oh my gosh, they don't like me. They don't want me. People don't stay mad forever. They don't care. Right now, you just need to come from a position of just touching base with people, letting them know you're here. One of the best questions that you can ask right now is, so what's your biggest concern? Okay, what is your biggest concern when you call your database? Find out, and whatever it may be, get in conversation with them. This is the time to build mind share. Okay, mind share will create market share, and in this type of market, this is when you gain market share. So mind share creates market share. I use a caring script. A caring script could be very simple. Leading with, how are things going? How's your family? Can we do anything for you? You need anything done? Can we pick up any of your groceries? I've got, resources, whatever it is, find out and ask them what are you concerned about most? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Point 4 is just about, look, if you don't have at least 1,000 people in your database, your center of influence, you got to get to 1,000. If you don't have it, if you already have 1,000, add 1,000. People say, well, how do I do that? I don't know that many people. Let me tell you something. Everyone on this call who's listening knows 1,000 people.
Yep.
Right now in my cell phone, there's an app you can take. It's called Contacts Excel. You can export out all your address book of your cell phone. I have 9,400 contacts on my cell phone. That right there is a database that I can work on right now for the next 4 months, just every one of them, right? Now, if they're in your phone, hopefully they're friends of yours. You can build your center of influence list to 1,000 just from your cell phone, your Facebook friends, your LinkedIn connections, thinking about organizations, whatever it may be, go out and build it, because that's who you need to be communicating to right now, is people that know you, right? So go build your database. This is the time right now you can take to do that. Before, you might not have as much of time to do it. Take the time now. And if you, at the end of this thing, you come out of it 3 months from now, you've got an awesome database that's solid and you've built it. Okay. Number 5, take specific properties and start sending to your database and sellers, right, that are sold. Like, be specific. Here are properties that match your criteria. Here's your homes that just sold like yours. Send that to them. You get very intentional on what you're sending to people. Okay?
Intentional.
Yeah. 6, take your database, upload to Facebook. Just mentioned that. Match your database. Basically, though, you take your database you currently have, and then upload it to Facebook. Right? You can do a match. Whatever your email address is inside your current database, it'll match the profile of their email address inside Facebook. Create an audience there, a custom audience for that database. Do a lookalike audience. So the reason why I bring this up is that Facebook right now, more than ever, that's where the eyeballs are. People are on Facebook. So why not start matching the market to where people are? Match your database and upload it to them and start putting some ads in front of them, right? Work through this way more than ever, because people are actually looking there, okay? Number 7 is about the consultations we talked about, Zoom meetings, okay? Zoom meetings, right? Getting people to meet you there on Zoom. Point 8 is, how many outbound contacts, right? So this is what we need to think about. Before, we might talk about, okay, well, we need to make 30 contacts a day. Well, now it's okay. Not only just contacts, meaning two-way conversation to a decision maker. How many texts will you send each day? How many emails will you actually send out? How many voicemails? Will you do a voice broadcast, like slide dial? Will you hit up people on through a Facebook Messenger? How many Facebook posts will you make? How many likes on people will you hit? How many comments will you make on Facebook or other social media? Handwritten notes. Like, the goal right now is to get to 100 of mixed channels of communication a day. Overload the communication. Okay? Overload it. Right now, and this isn't on this plan, but I'll just think about this. I just designed a 60-day lead follow-up plan. You got to consider there's 2 buckets right now of people that you need to be working with. Bucket A is somebody that's going to do business with you now. Okay? Somebody that wants to buy or sell and invest or sign a contract like in the next 7 to 10 days. That's like your immediate buyer, seller, someone you can get something done with. That's bucket A. That bucket's going to be small. All right. Bucket B is now what I want everybody to be concentrating on, at least our team. Bucket B is who's going to do something 60 to 90 days out. That group should be large, because many people right now, the conditions or objections are saying is, I want to wait for this over. Let's settle down. Okay, great. I know you want to wait. Let's settle down. But once it's settled down, and this is to wait, and assume that was the day, would you still want to buy or sell? Yes. Okay, good. That's bucket B. This is your nurture group. This is your group that it's going to do something in 60 to 90 days, right? Now, the agent that's going to win in 60 days from now is the agent that's communicated the most with that client. So do you have a communication plan, a follow-up plan of communication over the next 60 days? How much, how often, and how? What's the form of the communication? So start developing it. So what we just did today, and we're still working through it, is we're building out communication. Like in the first, the first 16 attempts are going to be in the first month, and then it'll start waning out. But there's going to be a text message, an email, a voice drop, a text, email, voice drop, all different created messages, not just all related to just real estate. It could be, hey, it's checking in. How are you and your family doing? Right? Just a very soft message that we're there. the agent that communicates the most in the next 60 days is going to win the game with the bucket B.
Well,
Okay?
back to your point, mind share equals market share.
That's right. Yep. That's what you're going to win. But, unfortunately, there's a lot of agents that are still asleep right now and just on their couch watching Netflix, and they have no idea what the hell we're even talking about.
Well, my concern for them is that the market will eat them up, and they'll be the ones that do go away when 20% of our industry disappears, like it did last time.
I had this conversation yesterday with my team, and I told them this. I said, and I'm very, very proud of my team. Right there, we're doing very well in this market. What's going on? They've shifted. They're working different markets. There's listing agents agents that only want to list. They work with buyers, vice versa. Like they're doing what they have to do. And that's the thing. I told them it's time to get paychecks. Go get a deal, get a paycheck. It's paycheck time. Like before, we might have had standards. I don't want to work in that market, that price point. I don't care. It's paycheck time, right? Build the pipeline, build the leads. So I told them yesterday, though, I looked at my team and I said, just like any team, any market center, any in the industry, it's proven there's like 15% of my team is doing 85% of the business. Right. There's 3 or 4 agents that are doing all the business right now, dominating. And then there's the other ones that are just doing 1 deal, 2 deals, and others are doing 3, 4 deals this month so far, right? Like and then that's what's going to happen is it's going to be that rule. 10% of agents are going to do 90% of the business. Mm-hmm. It's shrinking, it's shrinking, it's shrinking, it's shrinking, it's shrinking. And so we got to get agents to get off their butt. Okay. So anyway, number 9 in all this is accountability, right? Increase your accountability partners. You should have accountability partner you're checking in with during the day, meaning first thing in the morning and the end of the day. We've got a lot of accountability because they're reporting their numbers and doing a huddle. That's what we have as a team. But if someone doesn't have that ability, call somebody in the morning. Get 5 different role or accountability partners. Call them on a Monday, or somebody in the office, somebody who they know. Say, hey, this is what I'm doing today. And how about I call you in the morning, report my goal, and I'll call you at night and let you know what I did. See, you're not in the office environment. You need additional accountability to help you. Unfortunately, individually, we're just too weak to do it ourselves, in my opinion. We need someone to hold our hands. We just need accountability. 10, if you're not in a mastermind group, you need to be in one. If not, go start one. You need to surround yourself with people that are doing business that are like-minded and bounce off ideas. Like, for example, today, after our call here, I've got a mastermind, and there's probably 15 of us in there. And then these guys, 25 plus years, all around the country. Florida, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Vegas, California, San Diego, Northern California, the desert, like they're all over the place. Las Vegas is in there. I'm a mastermind with these guys every Thursday. We come on, we Zoom. What's going on in your market? What are you seeing? What did you do this week? What would work? What didn't work? What are your buyers saying? We just go around the room and say, all right, let's connect. And they combine ideas together. I come out and I'm like, wow, that was great. I'm going to go implement this. I'm going to go do that. Surround yourself with mastermind. 11 is increase your reading more than ever. Audiobook listening, podcast, every training that's available to the market center, every training that's available wherever, you've got to go and attend it right now. You have to. Pour good thoughts in your mind, because what goes in here comes out here. And more than ever, what goes in here is going to create confidence. And then you're going to speak it. 12, reread Shift if you haven't already, or join a Shift book club. Shift has all the tactics in there that we're going through. It's just awesome for the moment of the market of the moment. Go back and do that. 13, I just talked about, plug into every training. 14, more than ever, work on your scripts. There's new scripts out for this COVID stuff. Work on your scripts and objection handlers. Take the time and write them, record them, chant them, like become an absolute script master. 15, start having conversations with other agents. Look, other agents, many of them are dead right now, dead in the water, no idea. Reach out to them. Hey, how can I help support you? What are you doing? How's your business? What's your biggest concern? What do you see happening? Plug into our training. We're here to help you. Reach out to them. Great opportunity right now to recruit them if they're not, KW or to KW or whatever it is, or recruit them to your team. Agents need some help. 16 is call all the old expires from 6 months to like a year and a half, 2 years ago, right? It's from 6 months to all the way back to 2018. This group is a very large group that haven't come back on the market. Values may have changed, but expireds want to know what's going on. And there's a big opportunity right now to go get them back in the market, because inventory is super low. It's an opportunity. They might get their price now because no inventory, right? Let's think about that. For sale by owners, they need help more than ever. I don't know how for sale owners think they're going to sell a home right now, in my opinion. Just it boggles my mind.
It's a cry for help, though. Come on now.
I agree, right? For sure. And that's what they look at. So they're looking
They're
for
raising their hand. They're saying, please come help me.
Exactly. And, they're looking for guidance, right? So, but the thing is, come from a place of contribution to them, show them how to market their home virtually, give them ideas and thoughts on how we're doing it, our protocols for bringing buyers in, show them how they can, take a video of their own home and upload it to a Zillow 3D, just be all about them. And also, as I mentioned earlier, do for sale by owner tours. Go out right now and text or call 10 for sale owners this week and say, would you mind taking me through your home virtually? They love to do it. It's pretty cool.
Where are you finding your for sale by owners? Are they still out there on Zillow or?
Yeah, go to Zillow, make me move. And for sale owners, there's tons of them. Just search by county, by area.
Thank
you.
Can
draw a line around it. We work with Land Voice. So at Land Voice, we just pulled in all for sale owners for like the last year, I guess. And that haven't sold because it goes in and scrubs them, right? They haven't sold. So we use Land Voice that immediately will pull up every for sale owner currently, and then to give you all the new ones fresh each day. So again, landvoice.com/Chef Quintin. But that's a great source, and it's super easy. Plus, number 18 is pre-foreclosures. The pre-foreclosure market, some people right now are not making their mortgage payments. They're hoarding cash. And if they have a choice of keeping their $3,000 mortgage payment or putting it in the bank, right now they might put it in the bank. So there's pre-foreclosures, lis pendens in the last 60 days or since March 1st has gone way up. Okay. It's going to continue to go way up. Great market to start calling upon because these are people that, may want to sell and take their cash out. They probably have equity. So it's not like they're going to get foreclosure on. They're just not making their payment. They'd rather hoard the cash. And then lastly, this is what I talked about earlier. It's time to build your pipeline. You got to create at least one minimum lead a day. Before we would talk about creating one appointment a day, which is still very important, but it's how many leads can you create where that bucket B is going to be available, that it's healthy, that in the next 30 to 60 days, you've got a crap ton of leads sitting there of people that are going to do something. Build one a day. Think about if you did that over the next 30 to 45 days, you'd have at least 30 to 45 possible leads that are ready to do something. And just take, 20% of those. That could be 6 to 10 deals easily, just in the next 60 to 90 days if you build and have the intention of getting one lead a day.
That's awesome.
So that's it. That's the 19 points.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'll make sure that gets posted as well. That's well thought out. Really great stuff in there. I have one more question for you. It is at the end of the hour, and I know you are a very scheduled person. So, knowing you and watching you grow, I know that the law of the lid is always in effect with you to make sure that you're surrounded by people that that are doing more than you so that you can reach to where they are. And also the law of inner circle. You just spoke about the mastermind that you're going to jump on right now. And I'm thinking it's the same group of guys that you go skiing with and you're out in Vegas with. And so can you talk to us a little bit about how that has shown up in your life when you've broken through those E to P and how law of inner circle is important to Jeff Quintin?
I mean, it's been huge for me, because, I live and work in an area that it's a small resort vacation. It's an island. It's 7 miles long by a mile wide. And, a lot of times you feel like I live on an island. Sometimes you feel like an island, but you feel like an island sometimes in your real estate world, right? So it's always been important to me to stretch and connect with other people doing way more than me, right? So I've had a great fortune in my career to be part of like Gary's mastermind. We had our mastermind all day yesterday, which is killer. But I'm always seeking. Before this today, I was on a Zoom meeting teaching personality styles with Nick Waldner's team in Maryland, right? Just another big agent down there, and we trade back and forth, and we mastermind and communicate. But every single time, even today, I always get a new idea, a new thought. It stretches my mind. It's like a rubber band, right? So once you stretch a rubber band, even though you stretched it out, it'll come back. Once you stretch it, it doesn't go back to its original form. That's what our mind's like, so we can just keep stretching our mind and stretching our thoughts. So it's been very, very, very impactful for me to move, to a higher level of exposure. So, if agents aren't in that, look, when I'll never forget, I went to my first Mike Ferry retreat in 2001. Remember in 2000, like late 90s, I got my first assistant. I was doing like 80 deals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was introduced to him, and here's a story for you real quick, and then we'll end, but I know you got to go. But you know who Michael Ann Byerly is, right?
I love Michael Ann.
She's the best, right? Michael Ann was an absolute rock star agent. She still is, but her team in the early 2000s, she was doing 200 units in 2000.
Yep.
200 sides in Reading, Pennsylvania, had a team. She was working only like 6 months of the year. Her and her husband, Michael, would go to Florida, right? And then I meet her because she wants to buy a property in my town. I start talking to her, and she's in real estate in Reading, Pennsylvania. I didn't even know where Reading was. And I'm young, and I said, well, what are you doing? And yeah, well, how much homes do you sell? Because now I'm like number one in the island doing 80 deals. Like I'm big shit, you know what I mean? Not a lot of egos, big, young, young, flashy kid. And I meet her, she's doing 200 sales or 250. And I'm like, 200, you really? She's, yeah. How do you do that? Well, I got a team, and long story short, I got into coaching, and you want to take your business from 80 to 200, you need to get a coach. And so I said, what's a coach? Well, you need to jump in this coaching program. At the time, it's Mike Ferry at the time, and you need to get a one-on-one coach. You don't need to go into the business planning where it's a group coaching thing. You need one-on-one once a week, $1,000 a month. And I'm like, $1,000 a month. You serious? Like, yeah, you got to jump in full feet, and they'll teach you how to go from 80 to 200. And I'm like, I went home, talked to my wife. All right, I'm signing up for this coaching program. It's $1,000 a month. She's like, are you nuts? Are you crazy? So jumped in 2 feet. Yeah, jumped in 2 feet, got a one-on-one coach, totally changed. And that's when things happened. But so anyway, that's how I was exposed. And then from that point forward, first event I went to was in Irvine, California. And I walk in this room, and there's like 4,000 people in this room. And I'm like, wow, this is a real estate seminar. This is wild. And never seen like something like this magnitude. And I'm in the room, and I look to my left, look to the right, and there's an older woman and a younger guy, and this one, all kinds of everybody, right?
Different.
Like everywhere, different. Right? Races, everybody's different, right? I mean, you name it. And they announced in the room that the average production in the room is like 75 transactions out of the 4,000 people. And I'm like, that's what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm average, right? Like in this room, I'm an average guy. Where in my hometown, I was the king, right? At least I thought I was. I've been exposed, and I'm like, holy crap. Well, then I meet, different agents that are doing 200, 300 units back in 2000s, right? So like Michael Ann, and I'm like, what? Like, you're making $2 million? Like, I had no idea even that could even be possible ever, So anyway, I want to share that story because
great example. Yeah,
it's just about exposure for me. And I'm always seeking that everywhere I go. How can I meet? Where can I go? How can I be exposed to a higher level of thinking?
Thank you. What was your one nugget you took out of Gary's mastermind yesterday? I was watching Kristen Cole. I was loving hers.
Oh man!
Come on, give me one nugget. I wasn't in the room. I'm envious.
Yeah, I actually typed my notes out on the screen, so I don't have them written down. I'm kind of just got to go back and relook at it. I mean, one nugget for me. Well, we had Keith Cunningham on, right? So he had as an interview, which is awesome. And he just talked about like the way business is done. He talked about that we had to operate our business like an emergency room. Super, like you have to be super intention and focus right now, and everything we do, and strategic, and his whole thought also was about how to become obviously cut the fat in our business, right? Become super lean. He doesn't thinks that this is not the first time this is going to happen. We need to get our businesses pandemic bulletproof, right? And so we talked about all how that looks, and how much that means, and the way business is going to be done, and cutting the fat and getting cash right now. And then maybe it's some assets you have you want to sell to get cash, but now you can leverage that asset into something else because opportunity is going to be there to build some better deals or more wealth. So anyway, these are just some of the thoughts. I got a ton of different.
No, that's great. That's great because he's saying that there's going to be opportunities. Cash is king, and double down and hold it. So
here's actually some notes. So let me see. While you're at it, let me see. Survive and stabilize. Survival requires cash. Stabilize requires cash flow. I was talking about, let's see what else. There's 3 audits of your business. Audit expenses, audit your efficiency, audit your capacity to grow. Let's see, just look at all the dials in your business to make sure you can fly like talking about flying and so forth, rather than flying through fog. Let's see, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here, but
Love
yeah.
it.
It's just basically in a crisis, cut the fat, the muscle if you need to, but avoid the cutting the bone, right? The bone are those required to restart the engine. Let's see. Radical change in circumstance needs radically change the priorities. That's some of the things that's wrote down. It was great.
It's a really great reflective time. And if you're not looking at your business and what you're doing, you're in danger zone. So I want to thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? Any last minute things? We'll make sure all of those links get pushed out as well.
I think that right now, educate, inform, and serve. All right. Change your intros in everything you're doing. Okay. Meaning you gotta come from a place of a more personal, empathetic position. Remember safety first, right? When you're talking to buyers and sellers, that's their concerns. I would say also avoid opinion-based conversations in all of this, right? Move away from generalities like, I think this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Who knows? We just don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know.
I think that, build your database and that's your business, and really make sure you come very well connected to it more than ever.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Quintin, it was a pleasure spending this hour with you. I miss you. Can't wait to see you. Hopefully then this lifts, we'll have some big old conference where we can all get together and hang out. Yes. So enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to clip this and we'll be able to share it with everybody. Thank you so much for being gracious.
You're the best. Appreciate you.
Have a great day.
You too. All right, will do. Thank you.